declared state of emergency in the nation, in Ohio, and in the township, and the order of the Director of the Department of Health issued March 12th, 2020, in response to coronavirus 19 emergency. This meeting is being convened telephonically. The agenda for today's meeting is available on our website, www.andersontownship.org. Click Board of Zoning Appeals under Upcoming Events to review information for case 24-2020, case 10-2020 BZA. The board will accept public testimony via phone, video during the public hearing for case 24-2020 BZA, case 10-2020 BZA modification. Before public testimony is provided, I will read an oath, and you must swear in before speaking. We ask that all participants mute their phones and only unmute if speaking. If you are going to speak, it is also helpful to speak directly into your phone as opposed to using the speaker feature. At each of our board meetings, we encourage attendees to complete a sign-in sheet, including their name and address. If at some point during or after the meeting, if you would like to electronically sign in, simply send an email to bbowers@andersontownship.org. And that's bbowers, BBOWERS, all lowercase, at Anderson, capital ANDERSON, Township, capital TOWNSHIP.org. Before the meeting begins, I would like to identify the appointed Board of Zoning Appeals members that are participating in this meeting, including John Halpin, which is me, Jeffrey Nye, Steve Haber, Paul Shekels, and Paul CN. Sorry, Paul. Phone include Brad Bowers, he's our planning one, and DJ Ginty, also planning one. Each of us will do our best to remember to state our name before beginning to speak so that those joining us via phone can follow along. We thank you for joining us and appreciate your patience and understanding during these unprecedented times. This meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals is hereby called to order. This board was 18.13 of the Ohio Revised Code by the Anderson Township Board of Trustees to provide administrative relief to any person or entity adversely affected by the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Will the secretary please call the roll?
We seem to have lost our secretary.
Oh, I had myself muted, but
well, PJ is got kicked out for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go through the roll then. Mr. Shekels?
Here.
Mr. Haber?
Here.
Mr. Cyan?
Here.
Mr. Nye? And Mr. Halpin?
Present. Okay, thank you for attending this teleconference meeting at the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Please be aware that this meeting is being recorded. Now I'll outline our procedures. A summary of the appeal is presented by staff, then the appellant will present its case after being sworn in. The board members may then ask questions of the appellant. After that, by one at a time. After being recognized by the chair, when those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed to the appeal will then be permitted to testify and or ask questions of the board after being sworn in and recognized by the chair. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are
Brad,
no changes.
Is this meeting being recorded?
It is.
Yes.
It is, okay, because it's giving me the option to hit record on my thing now that I'm logged back in. So can you see on your screen that it's recording and everything?
It looks like it is. Oh, PJ, I think you became host again. So
I completely lost audio, so that's why I logged out.
it says meeting recording is in progress,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
you
see
can't
that
see
too
my
on the-
screen anymore. Right?
Yeah, I can't see your screen at all.
Okay.
Okay, that's better.
All right.
All right, sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure we were recording and everything.
Okay, 2020 BZA.
Mr. Chair, can we swear in staff right before we go into the staff reports?
Sure. Raise your right hand and swear or affirm. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
There we go.
I do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Lawrence.
Someone just joined, and I'm going to
Staff
mute them.
summary.
Yep. All right. So our first case tonight is
We still have yet to approve the agenda and then approve minutes.
Okay, are there any changes to the agenda?
Move we approve. Haber here.
Paul sign, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do
Aye.
the roll.
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels, Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Nye.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Okay, go ahead, read the summary, staff.
Mr. Chair, I
For 2020
move
BZA.
that we have. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve our minutes as for our November 5th meeting 2020 that was amended, included in our packets.
Aye, second.
Aha, that's not on my script.
It was on the agenda, though.
That's why we had to approve the agenda.
Mr. Haber,
Why can't I see?
Everything
Were you
okay?
calling roll?
yeah, there's something coming in. Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Sion.
Aye.
Mr. Nye.
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
There we go.
Okay. Are we okay now?
Yes.
on to
Let's
the
go
staff
into the
summary.
first. Yes. All right.
For 2020 BZA.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Brad Bowers with Anderson Township. The first case we have tonight is case 24-2020 BZA. The applicants are Dave and Kyle Roberts, who are the property owners of 7150 Raglan Road, number 26. That's within the Hermitage Club. The property is zoned A residence, and the applicant is requesting 3 variances. The first variance request is to allow a 12-foot 9-inch by 24-foot 9-inch accessory structure in the side yard, where it's only permitted in the rear yard. The second,
God, are you kidding
the
me?
second variance request is to store a 22-foot long by 10-foot high Class B RV in the side yard within the carport, while RVs are only permitted in the rear yard.
I could see you guys, but I couldn't hear anything.
We can hear you, Scott. I'm not sure what's going on there, but and then the third variance request is a variance request to allow the gravel driveway to remain. The property has a non-compliant gravel driveway, which is required to be a hard dust-free surface per the zoning resolution, and then also the zoning certificate that was issued for the house in 1997. Again, the proposed development is to construct an accessory structure in the side yard. It's a 12-foot 9-inch by 24-foot 9-inch carport located 9 feet from the property line at a height of 12 feet. And then the purpose of the carport is to store a 22-foot long by 10-foot high Class B RV. While RVs are only permitted in the rear yard. And then the third variance is to allow the non-compliant gravel driveway to stay in place. It's required to be a hard dust-free surface per the zoning certificate that was issued, and then the zoning resolution as well. The township requires non-compliant and non-conforming driveways to be brought into compliance whenever development specific to access and driveways is being proposed. A little bit of history. This is within the Hermitage Club. The house was built in 1997 and was purchased by the current property owner in 2008. A zoning certificate was issued in 1997 for the single-family house, and then also a 20 by 12-foot porch in the side yard. On that site plan, again, there was a note that said that the driveway must be a hard, dust-free surface. And to the best of staff's knowledge, the gravel driveway that's in place has always been in place since the house was built. And then in 2002, a zoning certificate was issued for a 12-foot by 16-foot addition in the front yard for a new wood trellis. This is an overview of the property. And again, this is all of the Hermitage Club. It's owned by several different owners. And then this red dot is where the property is located specifically. So we'll zoom in a little bit. You can see the property in question. It's along a private drive within the Hermitage Club. Here is an aerial map of that property. You can start to see the gravel driveway and then some of the surrounding driveways as well. This is a topography map. You can see that the property slopes from the northeast down to the southwest. And then this is the proposed site plan that was submitted to staff. You can see here the accessory structure in the side yard. And I believe we have a zoomed in version of that. This is proposed to be 9 feet from the property line. And again, this is for a carport for the RV to be located in the side yard. Here are some elevations of what that structure will look like. Again, it's, I believe it's proposed to be matching the house. And then we'll go through some of the pictures staff took while on site. This is the front of the property. You can see the gravel driveway here. This is the frontage of that property. And then here is the RV that is being proposed to be located within that carport in the side yard. This is the side yard area where the carport will be located. The fence is proposed to remain. I believe there's a gate. This is a view of the carport area kind of from the side yard, further into the side yard. You can see there's some vegetation there that screen where the carport would be. And then this is a view of the rear yard. You can see it starts to slope down towards the rear of the property. And then this is standing in the location of the proposed accessory structure, looking to the adjacent property to the north. You can see there's a pretty good buffer of mature vegetation there. And then this is in the rear yard looking towards the side and front yard where the carport would be, is proposed to be located. And another view of that area with the neighboring property in the background there. So the way we wrote the staff report is we did the first 2 variance findings together, and then the third variance has its own set of findings. So I'll go through the staff findings for variance 1 and 2. Staff is of the opinion that the variance would not be substantial due to the vegetative screen to the north, which will screen the carport and the RV from the closest residence to the north. In addition, the nearest residence to the north is approximately 104 feet away from the proposed carport. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered, and adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. The carport would match the existing residence. In addition, the applicant submitted a letter from the president of the Hermitage Club, which supports both the carport and RV location. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The property owner's predicament can be feasibly obviated through some method other than a variance. The applicant would be permitted to construct the carport in the rear of the property, although they've stated that this location is not desirable for a carport due to the topography and current aesthetics of the rear yard. In addition, this would require extending the driveway to the rear yard and would also require the removal of a tree and some landscaping. Staff is of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed by granting the variance due to the vegetative screening, the distance from the nearest property to the north, the fact the carport is proposed to match the existing residence, and then also the letter of support from the Hermitage Club, the president of the Hermitage Club. So now we'll go through the findings for variance 3, which is for the gravel driveway. Staff is of the opinion that the variance would not be substantial due to the fact that the property has had a gravel driveway for 23 years and the applicant has not proposed any expansion of this gravel area. Further, due to being in place since the house was built, the gravel driveway is packed down and contained so as to minimize the gravel spilling into the roadway. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered and adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. Again, the Hermitage Club was established over 100 years ago, and many of the houses that were built prior to Anderson Township zoning. Only 6 of the 24 houses were constructed after Anderson Township zoning went into place, meaning many of the lots have non-conforming aspects to them. Further, the applicant submitted a letter from the president of the Hermitage Club, which supports the project. The variance would not affect the delivery of any governmental services. The property owner's predicament can be feasibly obviated through some method other than a variance. The applicant could pave the driveway, although they've stated they have no intentions of paving the driveway. And the applicant, or I'm sorry, staff is of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed by granting the variance due to the overall rural character of the Hermitage Club. And in addition, the gravel driveway has been in place for 23 years and will not be expanded. It's packed down and contained so as to minimize spilling into the roadway. And then again, the Hermitage Club supports the project. So these are our standards to be considered, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Mr. Bowers, Haber here. The only question I have is on the third variance about paving the driveway. And my recollection is that we request a hard surface, paved surface for driveways such that granular material doesn't get spilled out into the right of way. Isn't this all private property and there is no public right of way for that road that was going up between all the driveways?
That's correct. Yeah, that's a private drive. All of the private drive that goes to a majority, if not all the houses in the Hermitage Club, you're right. It's a private drive and it's not public right of way. The Hermitage Club maintains that themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. No more.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, well, I'll go ahead and will the appellant or the appellant's representative please unmute yourselves, speak into your phone or microphone and state your name and address.
Yes, David and Kyle Roberts. We live at 7150 Raglan Road, lot 26.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask you to swear in. So could you raise your right hand and swear or affirm? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Okay, well, present your appeal. Thank you.
Well, I think Mr. Bowers kind of laid it out. I mean, this is the first time I've ever been to a zoning board, so I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to do, but I think Mr. Bauer laid out the case. We want to put a carport, get the RV out from under cover, and understand the zoning requirement that it needs to be in the backyard. But, if we put it in the backyard, actually it would be more of an eyesore. One of the pictures that he had there previously shows the house down the hill from us has, there's less vegetation between their house and our backyard. And I mean, they would be looking right at it, as well as, we would have to significantly extend the driveway to get it into the backyard. You have to take down at least one tree, maybe two trees. And, the carport right next to the garage. I mean, it's going to be within, a foot of the garage. And we will have it blend right in with the rest of the house. There's a picture of the house there that shows the cedar siding. We intend on, putting some facade or, cedar facade around the carport as well, so that, it'll be the same color and, it'll just blend right in.
Okay, well, are there any questions from the board? Seeing that there's no questions, are there any other people that would like to speak in favor of the appeal? Okay, now we take testimony from the persons that, is there anybody opposed to the appeal? No, nobody coming forward, so we can go ahead and go
Chair,
on
this-
from there.
Mr. Chair, this is Jeff Nye. I move that we close the public hearing on case 24-2020 BZA.
Do I hear a second?
Haber,
Stein, I
second.
Okay, I'll go for the roll.
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels, Mr. Shekels,
Aye, I have to unmute.
it's all good. Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Nye,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and the board will take this case under consideration and deliberate either tonight or at one of our upcoming meetings. Thanks for all your participation. Anyone who wishes to remain on the line is welcome. So,
All right, well, thank you for your consideration, and we're going to sign off.
okay.
Stick around if you're still there. To the Robertses, are you still with us?
Yes, we're still here.
The next item on our agenda is the deliberation. Why don't you stick around just in case we have any follow-up questions?
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
okay. You guys got anything to say? Any questions?
It's Paul here, Mr. Shekels. In a vacuum, I would be reluctant to approve any of these variances in the township. And I'm saying that for a reason. I don't want what I'm going to say to set a precedent. And that's why I want to reiterate, in a vacuum, I would be very reluctant to approve any of these variances in this situation. But due to the unique nature of this property and the location, I'll support the 3 variances.
And I agree with you.
This is Jeff Nye. I agree with that as well. I don't want Hermitage homeowners to think that we'll grant any variance they request just because they're in a unique spot. But they are in a unique spot, and one of the factors we're supposed to consider is the character of the neighborhood. Now the variances would have requested. I think even outside the Hermitage, kind of the unique lay of this particular piece of land and that area along, the existing garage makes sense for a carport there. So on balance, even if this were outside the Hermitage, I think this would be a case where I might be inclined to grant it, but certainly in this unique neighborhood, the essential character of the neighborhood will not be altered. And if we force them to comply with it, I think the character of the neighborhood would be altered in this unusual situation. So that combined with the lack of a public right-of-way for the driveway to spill onto, and so on, I would grant all 3 conditions with the typical conditions, all 3 variance requests with the typical conditions.
Well, is there anything else? Anybody else have any comments? Any concerns?
Here, totally agree with what's been said so far. I think this is, I mean, just looking at this picture right here, I think it's a far superior solution for the appellant than putting it in the rear yard. This nice little thin slot of area next to their house, I think it's a great solution to it. And I echo staff's report. Regarding the driveway, and I just wanted to expound on that for a moment, if I may, is, any building that you put in Hamilton County, based on hard surfaces, has to have some sort of stormwater detention mitigation in it. And we just like to pave stuff so much that it exacerbates stormwater runoff. And I know that we've taken a look at what we're calling like urban farms and allowing gravel driveways. And I think in this situation too, you've got an isolated driveway that isn't a public right of way. It's all contained within private property. And I think that we allow not only it to stay on behalf of the appellant, but we allow it to stay so that we can, for whatever little mitigation it would have for stormwater runoff, is that I think it's the right thing. It's the right thing to do. So I wanted to add that comment. I'm in favor of all three variants.
Got no additional comments, but I'm in agreement.
Okay. Well, then we need a motion.
Haber here. Mr. I move that regarding case 2020 BZA, I move that we, and I'm going to do all en masse, even though staff reported them somewhat separately. I move that we grant all three variances. And I'm going to cite, I think staff did a great report here, so I'm going to include staff's findings in that. I'm going to say that the construction shall be in substantial conformance with the drawings dated, and I don't have, I've got November 10th, 2020. That construction would start within a year and be complete within 2 years. And I don't think there's any other conditions that we talked about regarding landscape or anything like that. So that is the end of my motion, and I'll certainly accept friendly amendments to it if so needed.
This is Paul Stein. I'll second the motion.
Okay, then why don't we call a roll?
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin,
Aye.
sorry, Mr. Nye.
Aye.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and move on to the next presentation?
For the applicants of the last case, your case has been approved. We will decide and journalize on that later tonight. And the zoning certificate will either be ready for pickup tomorrow or possibly sometime next week, depending on when we can have the zoning or the Board of Zoning Appeal resolution assigned. So if you give us a call tomorrow, and we'll let you know when the zoning certificate will be ready.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Aye. Happy holidays.
Same
Thank
to
you.
you.
Same to you.
Okay. Our second case tonight is actually a case that was approved earlier this year, and the applicants are, well, it's case 10-2020 BZA. The applicants are Benjamin Kennard and Elizabeth Kepi for the property located at 2810 Deerhaven Drive, Zoned A residence. And the request is an amendment to the BZA resolution for case 10, 2020 BZA, again, which was an approved variance to allow a 6-foot privacy fence in the side yard where 6-foot privacy fences are only permitted in the rear yard. Just a second here. I'm not going to go through all of this because, like I said earlier this year, it was approved, but the applicant is requesting that the board amend the condition that requires the applicant to install a side door to the house within 6 months. The applicant decided to make changes to their planned interior renovations and is now indicated that a door in the side of the house is no longer a part of their plan. Sorry, let me see here. So in May 2020, a variance request was approved to allow a 6-foot high privacy fence in the side yard with the following conditions: substantial conformance with the plans, dated April 17th, a door be installed in the side yard within 6 months, and that the fence be stained within 6 months. In October 2020, the applicant notified staff of their intentions not to construct the side door and requested that the resolution be amended. Staff replied to the applicant stating an amendment to the zoning resolution would require a Board of Zoning Appeals public hearing. So here again is our property map for Deerhaven. This is an aerial map. And then this is a topography map. You can see there's kind of a ravine that runs through the backyard. This was the site plan that was approved. This is the approved fence in the side yard location. And then this, I believe, right here is where the proposed side door was to be initially, and that is what the applicant is stating. They're not going to be completing that, which is why they are requesting to amend the Board of Zoning Appeals resolution. Here is a view of the front of the house. You can kind of see the fence in the side yard to the left there. The applicant has stained the fence, so that condition has been fulfilled. Here's another closer up view of that fence. You can see it transitions into a chain link fence in the side yard, or into the rear yard. And then this is the area where, did my screen stop sharing?
I think PJ dropped off, so I might have caused that.
I just joined back in. I couldn't hear anyone again, so.
Got it.
I'm gonna call in on my cell phone, so in case that happens again.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So again, this is where the side door was proposed to be installed, and this is it's no longer part of the plan. And then this is looking into the rear yard area. And then this is just the other side of the property where the fence has been stained as well. So we'll go through the staff findings. These staff findings are specific to amending the Board of Zoning Appeals resolution. Staff's of the opinion that amending the BZA resolution would not be substantial due to the distance from Deerhaven Drive being approximately 86 feet. That's the distance to the fence. The fence varies in height due to topography, with the shortest portion being approximately 4 feet 7 inches and the highest part being 6 feet. In addition, there's a mature tree in the location where the fence is permitted to be in the rear yard. The applicant has indicated that installing a door in the side of the house is no longer feasible given the revised interior renovation plans. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be altered, and adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of amending the BZA resolution. The 6-foot high privacy fence that fell into disrepair was located in a similar area. Delivery of governmental services will not be affected. The property owner's predicament can be feasibly obviated through some method other than a variance. The applicant would be permitted to construct a 6-foot high privacy fence in the rear of the property. However, there's a mature tree in the location where the fence would be permitted in the rear yard. Staff's of the opinion that the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed by amending the BZA resolution due to the distance from the street, the variation in height, the existing tree where the fence is permitted, and the applicant's revised interior plans. So I'd be happy to answer any questions the board has.
I don't have any questions. Is anybody else?
No questions for me. This is Sion.
Okay. Well then, will the appellant or to your phone or microphone and state your name and address?
Hi, I'm Ben Kennard. Address is 2810 Deerhaven Drive. It's my wife.
Elizabeth Kepi, same address.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
I do.
Okay. Well, please present your appeal.
Okay, so yeah, originally we were going to install a door off that side of the house. We were going to have our dining room table kind of in like a little corner, like nook, but we've decided to put an island over there instead, and the door would just kind of mess up the flow around the exterior of the island. So we just decided that we do not want to install the door at this point, if possible.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
Yes. This is Jeff Nye. At the last meeting, there was a lot of discussion. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's a lot of discussion about the door being essential to the variance. I'm sure you remember it. In fact, I think it would say it was one of the two primary reasons that you requested the variance, the other being the location of that tree. If you're not going to have a door there, is there any reason other than the location of the tree that you could not move the fence back, 6 or 8 or 10 feet or whatever the number is? I forget exactly what it is.
Sure, I think definitely the tree is a big problem, because if we put a fence where that tree is, it would push against it like it did the old fence, and it would fall into disrepair. And then I would also say financially, to have to rebuild a new fence, especially right now, we've been kind of affected by COVID, and we're just given notice of some possible job insecurity back in October. So that honestly is another reason as well.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that we did apply the making of the fence, which was intended originally, and it does match the look from the street if you look to the left and to the right. So I feel like we've lived up to at least part of what was required.
Okay, that's all I've got.
This is Steve Haber. I want to follow up with what Mr. Nye was just talking about. And I've got your letter here in front of me where you indicate that there's changes and your description of the changes that you have in here. And then your discomfort of spending additional money to put the door in due to the unknown status of your occupations during the pandemic and COVID-19. So I want to really get my head around that last part, as an easy way for us to satisfy your concerns about the pandemic and your occupations is that typically we put a condition on that construction starts within a year and completed within 2 years. And I think in your case, we asked for the door to be constructed within 6 months. If we gave you another year to put the door in, this pandemic's going to end at some time and we're all going to get back to normal. If we granted you additional time and not 6 months, but we could do it from a year from today or longer or whatever, I don't know, would that help alleviate your concerns with putting the door in?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would to some effect. Yeah, I mean, just not having a time frame to having to get it in. But ideally, we would prefer that the door is not installed based on having that island now in the kitchen. But if it came down to it and it was either putting a door in or moving the fence, we would comply. But having that extra time would alleviate that stress and unease.
Yeah, that would definitely help with that part, but I still think that it still ideally with how we kind of changed our minds and what we want to do on that side of the kitchen.
Okay.
The island there, having a door there, like if somebody was sitting at the island and then somebody was coming in and out of the door, it would just be kind of awkward and weird. So there's still that reason, but yes, that would help the financial worry about it.
Okay. I was concerned whether or not your financial concerns about this project actually changed the project, or whether or not your redesign of what you wanted to do. And I wanted to get a better understanding of those two reasons, what the prevailing reason was. So what I'm hearing you say is that you've reconsidered the design, totally understand that, and based on what you think is a better situation for you regarding the design, is you're requesting that you don't put the door in.
Yes, that's correct. The bigger reason is the design, which won't be done for a little while now either because of finances, but we don't want to, mess that up by installing the door.
Right.
If possible. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you both very much. I'm no more questions.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Are there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this? Okay, since there are no other persons interested in speaking in favor, are there anybody here that wants to speak in opposition? Hearing no opposition. Are there any further questions from the board? So hearing no oppositions from the board, can we get a motion to close the public hearing on this case?
Nice, so moved.
Haber, second.
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Nye,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye. Okay, we're going to take this under consideration and deliberation, and if you'd like to stay and listen, you're welcome to.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board? Any comments?
This is Nye. I'll start. I remember this meeting back in May where we discussed this pretty well because it was the first one where I was kind of unexpectedly chairing the meeting. And so my memory was pretty good, but I looked back at the resolution again, and then I actually went and watched this portion of the video again. And the video confirmed my memory of what had happened, which is that my particular opinion was that between the topography of the property, the distance from the street, and the location of the tree, I would have leaned to granting the variance with or without the door there. But it was the very strong sense of the board that the door was essential to the variance. And at least one person said at least once, no door, no variance. I don't know if that's still the sense of the board. I think my sense has not changed, that because it's lower than the street, because it's pretty far back from the street, because most of the way back across the house, and because that tree is there, I would grant the variance anyway, just as I would have in May. but that is not what the deal was in May. So so even though I would have granted the variance then, I think my inclination might be to say, well, look, we made a ruling. We shouldn't reconsider rulings without some really compelling reason not to. Redesign may be a compelling reason. I don't know. I think it sounded like Mr. Haber was sort of sifting around the idea of, rather than resolving this right now, we extend the timeline on it to either let them reconsider their plans again if they're inclined to, or to give them time to move the fence if that's what they want to do, or to bring this back in another 6 months or whatever and consider granting the variance again. I'm open to any of those things. I just want to make sure the board remembers that the board was pretty adamant that no door, no variance. Those are my comments for now. I'd like to hear what everyone else says about it.
Sure. Paul Shekels here. I sort of remember the same thing that you said, Jeff. And in my mind, if the door wasn't there, I'd have probably still granted the variance, but I pushed that fence could easily move back 4 to 5 feet and still be put around that tree. And probably if the door wasn't there, that would have been my recommendation at the time, and allowed the fence to go where it is only because of the door. And so now I'm sort of in this quandary in my own mind thinking, okay, what would I have done originally if the door wasn't there? And I'm thinking out loud right now. That's all I'm doing, So that's my thought. And I'll pass it on for further discussion.
Haber here. I completely remember this case, and I appreciate Mr. Nines going back and looking at the video record that we were somewhat adamant about including the door as a condition. And when I first read this case for preparation for tonight, my concern was, that anybody can go ahead and change their idea of their original appeal, and request elimination of a condition that we considered as a part of granting the original variance. So I'm very sensitive to that, and yet we contain within our decisions those site-specific character instances that allow us to grant a variance without moving beyond the precedent. And I think what Mr. Nye said, and I was glad he brought it up, which was, regardless of the door, because of the location of the tree, the distance from the street, I think there was an elevation discussion that the fence might have been lower than the street, if I remember correctly. Would we still have granted the variance? And therefore, if we, and I throw this back to Mr. Nye for consideration as well as for the rest of the board, because we want to be very clear with our variances, so we're not creating that precedent. Can we say that even though the appellant has changed their minds, would we have granted the variance anyway? Such that somebody else coming on down the road saying, well, on case 10, they changed their minds and you granted the modification. I'm going to change my mind and you have to grant the modification. is there a way that we can make this specific enough that it applies and it protects the board from future situations like this?
In my mind, I probably would have granted the variance, but I would not have allowed the fence to be put where it is currently. If it was just a fence and no door. The door made it, to be, I pushed it over the line. But I still would have granted the fence without the door, but that fence would have been back at least 4 feet or so. Because visiting the site, looking at that, having been involved in construction most of my life, I could see a pathway to build that fence 4 to 5 feet back where it currently is.
Thank you, Mr. Shuckles.
This is Jeff. Now, I don't want to jump in before everyone else gets a chance to talk, but since you asked a question to me, I think if you look at the resolution we adopted that day in section 5, when we're talking about the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution, we cited 4 factors that made us think that the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution would be observed or upheld by granting the resolution. We cited the distance from the street, the topography, in other words, the fence is lower than the street, the existing tree, and the desire to enclose the side door within the rear fence. I think if we had only had 3 of those, I still would have granted the variance. I appreciate that that fence probably could be moved back 4 feet or whatever, or 6 feet or 8 feet or 3 feet or whatever the number is. In other words, get it closer to the tree, closer to the corner of the house, and to make it less a smaller variance. But I think I probably would have granted it as is. If the sense of the board is that we require them to move it back, I think that also wouldn't be unreasonable. There's no obviously hard and fast line about how far up the house the fence would have to be before we would turn it down. I think in this particular case, I would say it's probably fine where it is. That's my sense. It's not. I think that in terms of the question of precedent, I think that's what it is about this property. It's lower than the street. It's reasonably far from the road. There is a very large, stately tree there that you wouldn't want to disturb, and that you wouldn't want to disturb the fence. I think those things are probably enough for me. I'm not so concerned about protecting the board from precedent. I'm concerned about protecting the character of the neighborhood. That's what the zoning resolution is all about. And I think in this situation, the character of the neighborhood is protected.
Okay. So any other comments? Well, can we have a resolution?
This is Nye. I would move that we grant the variance to remove, grant the request to remove the condition. I'm sorry, it's condition number 2 from the variance that was approved on May 7th.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Nye,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye. Well, I guess that takes care of it. We'll have to have this chronologized and written up, and then we're all set.
Right.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you. We really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Ben and Liz, we discussed it, and we're not going to issue a new zoning certificate. We'll just amend the resolution, and we'll send you a copy of that if you just want to keep that with your zoning certificate you initially got.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
guys.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. You
Happy
too.
holidays.
Stay safe.
Okay. Is there anything else for us?
We need to
We can do
decide
the
and journalize.
resolution.
You got 3 minutes to get this in under an hour.
So we need a resolution.
Yep, I've got them here. Just 1 second.
Heck, my wife's not gonna think I'm not on the board anymore if I come up after an hour.
I'm going to have to do yoga now.
All right, case 24 is first. Share my screen again. All right. Okay, here we go.
That first paragraph, it says the third variance request, parentheses, variance 2 is to allow, yeah.
Okay. So these are separated again into variance 1 and 2, and then variance 3. The reasoning is below.
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good too.
Good to go.
Brad, just the number one, due to the fact. Wait, to the fact.
Sorry.
Oh wait, never mind. Wait, due to the fact. Yeah, should that say be singular?
I wasn't sure if it should have been or not.
I think you can leave it.
It looks like the plans are dated November the 10th.
Is it the 10th? I don't have a packet, so thank you for that.
Should we put there that this is not going on the gravel driveway? It's not going into a public right of way?
Yeah, I think we should. Probably in number 1.
And number 1.
Well, or number 3, I guess. Number 1.
Just say the gravel driveway does not empty into a public right of way. But rather a private road.
I'm going to say, I'm going to say drive.
Perfect. Good.
Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Mr. Chair, this is Haber Regarding case 24, 2020 BZA, I move that we approve and journal our decision.
This is Cyan. I second.
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Nye,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna save that one.
Brad, were there just two conditions with that one? I didn't catch it at the end.
Yes, there were.
Just a regular two conditions.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do we need to journalize this?
Yeah,
The 10?
it's pretty much the same, but I mean, we'll open it back up. 1 second. It's just one less condition.
With a revised date on it. Okay.
So yeah, our only changes, we have a revised or an amended date. PJ, I think you had prepared this one. Is most of this information the same?
It is, yeah. It's just amending so I put the findings as amending the BZA resolution. So I didn't, just how we had it in the staff reports, I didn't know if we should say the variance or amending the resolution. I didn't know for that.
How does the board feel? Do we want to go with the original reasoning that we had, or go with this reasoning? I mean, we can read through it.
Well, nothing changes except with the deletion of the one condition.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we can open up, Brad. So this one, so I mean, these are the staff findings from the amended staff report as well. So I mean, if we want to open up that revised that resolution and just take out reference to the door, does that make sense?
What I was thinking is I can go back to the original resolution. We'll just copy paste the original reasoning in there, and then does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, it doesn't matter whatever way you do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Then you just have to say something there upon review of the BZA meeting tonight that we agreed to eliminate the condition of the door.
So yeah, I'm gonna start.
Yeah, I think it needs to be in there.
Because I mean, the way I look at it though is like, for instance, at our last hearing last month, there was a condition that the structure be constructed within 1 year, and that condition was then removed.
And that was the only thing that was noted about that on that resolution.
Right,
There wasn't
so
really anything. So yeah, in my mind, this is the resolution that would have been approved if that hadn't been one of the conditions. And so really we have our amended date.
Yeah.
But everything else stays the same except the removal of this condition.
Yeah.
And then the new decision date.
But this is just a point that I'd ask for all of our attorneys out there, Jeff. Do we have to note that we actually remove that condition, or we just take the condition out?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably we ought to explain why we're taking the condition out, right? I mean,
right.
So I think what we were looking at before, which I guess was it up here?
Yeah, I switched these out to be what the old resolution says.
I think maybe the I think maybe the version we saw 2 minutes ago is probably a little more correct.
Okay. How about that?
Yeah, so then in this one, we make reference to amending an original resolution.
Right.
And I think we should include a finding in here that the board determined that if the application had been presented originally without the door, they would have granted the variance.
Okay.
That's where we all came down.
Yeah. Yeah.
We won't put that under
And
5.
You could put it 5, you could put it 6. I mean, you could make it an independent one there. I know these track the criteria, but you know,
I mean, this is all reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Steve's concern before was we don't want to set precedent that comes back to haunt us. Well, you know, if we're going to be looking back at these and we can cite to one to say, hey, look, you know, this isn't a step transaction. This isn't. They're not trying to, you know, nibble away and nibble away and nibble away and end up with a different result. You know, we're looking at it kind of from the beginning. Said if this is what you'd come to us with originally, it would have been fine.
Okay.
Next little bit. So something like, you know, the board determined that if the applicant had originally requested this variance without intent to include the door, the board would have granted the variance.
Period.
Just period, I guess.
Okay.
Or maybe at that time, or you know, something like that. Yeah, I think that's good.
You just need to capitalize the B in board.
The old resolution, I know we required them to stain the fence, and they've done that. Did we require to keep it stained? I don't remember if we did or not. We didn't. It just said stained. It's already been stained, so we don't need to add that in, I don't think. I think
that's a good point. That was one of the other that was a condition.
Well, Brad, I removed it from this resolution because it had already been stained, and they put that in their testimony.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good point. Okay.
The condition isn't like stain it and keep it stained forever. The condition was just stained, but there's no reason we couldn't add in right now, and also keep it stained or in good repair or whatever. I guess the zoning resolution already requires them to keep it in good repair, so we don't have to put that.
Yeah, so that would be covered by the property maintenance code.
Yeah, I don't think we need to add any more than that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good with all this.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Scott.
Real quickly, I did notice that I don't know what the requirement is on the staining of that fence, but it was only stained on the outside. It wasn't stained on the inside.
Yeah, I wasn't going to stir that pot, but I saw it as well, Scott. I didn't know. I don't think I wanted to stir that in the middle of the discussion.
I'm just a standby guy. I was just noticing. I wasn't going to say anything, but because that's kind of what I do for FHA and VA. It's like you can't just stay on one side of the fence. You got to stay in the whole fence. So I don't know. I just thought I'd point it out there.
No, that should be on our learning curve going forward.
What does the code say?
Well, for appraisals on FHA and VA, when we say stain a fence, you don't just stain the outside of it. You got to stain the whole fence.
So I don't think that by our zoning resolution or property maintenance code, I don't think either of them state whether or not you need to stain it or anything. And in fact, you're allowed to face the good side, whichever way you want. The fact that the fence was to be stained was a condition that the board put on this. So really, it's up to you guys.
Okay. So it doesn't have to be stained at all. It can just weather.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, do we want them to put another coat on the other side? Now's the time if we're going to do it.
Apparently, it doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't matter by our regulations, but if you would like to place that condition on it, you have that authority.
I don't think so, because I feel like if we were going to put a condition out like that, we should have told them that while we had them on.
Yeah, I agree with that. We should.
I agree with that. I was just pointing it out. I didn't know if it made a difference or not.
But I do think that's something we need to take into consideration going forward.
Okay. All right. I move that we journalize this decision in case 10-20.
Favor second.
Mr. Haber,
Aye.
Mr. Shekels,
Aye.
Mr. Sion,
Aye.
Mr. Nye,
Aye.
Mr. Halpin.
Aye. Okay, I guess that brings the meeting to a conclusion.
All right.
Man, I made it through this meeting. I can't stand
There you
it.
go, John.
You got your bugs worked out.
7 minutes
Good
late,
to have you
guys.
back.
I'm so happy.
I do have one thing, if you'll indulge me. Mr. Bowers, Mr. Ginty, have you heard anything of the result of the recent interviews?
The board is going to be appointing all of the committee members at their December 17th meeting. So they have not made their decision yet. They will make the decision at that meeting.
But it's their plan that you know of right now that everybody here is still carrying over.
Correct.
Thank you.
But the board has not made that decision yet.
Because I can't tell you how many times I've been on this board and a year goes by and somebody drops off and you have no idea about what it is or anything. So if I had to say sayonara tonight, I was ready to say sayonara. But on the other hand, if you guys have to bear with me for another year, I'm all for it.
Hey, listen, even if you weren't still on the board, you could be here every month.
You may not have standing for every case, but hey, you can be there.
Even re-up for secretary.
That's the other thing I was going to say.
Oh, that'll be in January.
We will have election of the officers in January, yes.
Yeah.
If we want to start to think about that.
So, Paul, make sure you're there.
Well, either way, I know how this is going to end.
Well, you guys have
Bye,
a
guys.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone. Stay
You
safe.
too.
See y'all.
I get back there after 2 o'clock,
Stay safe
guys.
and healthy.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.